Who said all movies in January had to be bad? It's not true, man. Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit is written by Adam Kozad and David Koepp and stars Chris Pine, Kevin Costner, Keira Knightley, and Kenneth Branagh, who also directed the movie. Now, this is actually the fifth film to feature the character of Jack Ryan, who's created by Tom Clancy, the other four being The Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, and The Sum of All Fear. And Shadow Recruit kind of takes us back to Jack Ryan's origin, like how he became an analyst for the CIA, and how he stumbled upon this plot brewing in Russia wherein this guy named Victor Shervin, played by Kenneth Branagh, is planning to attack the US economy and pretty much start a new Great Depression. Now it's interesting to note where Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit falls in the spectrum of like spy movies, because at one end you have the big over-the-top action stuff with the high-tech gadgets like James Bond. On the other hand, you have the really meticulous, slow-paced espionage stuff like Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, and Jack Ryan kind of tries to be both these things, and the result is some of it is good, some of it is bad. First of all, I really think this movie's paced very well. It takes a while to get started, like the establishing scenes of like how he becomes an analyst. It's not very interesting, but when it does get started, it really doesn't stop. It just stays really focused. Like some of the subplots aren't really fleshed out that well, but you don't really want them to. And of course, I think it's like a cliche at this point to say that this movie looks and sounds great, especially the score, which really puts you in that cool espionage mood. And really, in terms of directing, Kenneth Branagh really does a better job with the spy stuff, in my opinion. Like, it's so interesting to see this team of CIA agents just kind of doing their job so cleanly, so professionally. Everything just gets better during these espionage parts. Like, the music, the pacing, the acting is better. And in my opinion, this movie really revolves around this set piece regarding a dinner scene. That's all I'll say. But that entire thing just edge of my seat, really. And of course, we have to mention the actors. First of all, there's Chris Pine, who is like becoming one of those go-to guys if you want to rejuvenate an action franchise. And you can't blame the guy. He's a really good actor. He's good looking. He has this charisma about him, but at the same time, he can convey a sense of vulnerability, which is what Jack Ryan has. Kevin Costner and Keira Knightley do well in their roles. They don't have as much to do, but like they are good as sort of like Jack's equals, and they really do shine when they're in a room together. I mean, like all three of these guys. Kenneth Branagh, though, was very impressive, I think, as Victor Shervin. He's pretty much the stereotypical Russian dude with the accent and the whole business mindset. But what I think makes him such a good villain is the fact that he's not all powerful and stuff. In fact, he's super flawed. Like, he still succumbs to alcohol and women, and you just begin to feel the pressure that this villain faces, that he's just doing it for his country and for like people in even higher positions of power. And when he succumbs to these weaknesses, like he's just desperate to get it back together. And despite this, he is pretty scary at points, and you really do feel like they're on level playing ground, like him and Jack. Now about the stuff I didn't like I mentioned a while ago, I think Kenneth Branagh does a much better job with the spy stuff rather than the action. The action here, it's cut really, that whole quick cut thing. It's not shot as steadily as you'd want it to be, and overall, it just really does kind of feel bland. Like after like the big dinner scene, you're just treated to a bunch of like action scenes, and it's really just not that fulfilling because it's more fun to see Jack Ryan in his analyst setting because that's what kind of separates him from other action spy stars. I also have a couple of problems with the writing. First is like the characters. I found myself rooting for Jack Ryan and the others because I was familiar with the actors and I like the actors, and that's not a very good sign. Like when I thought about it, they they do build up to Jack Ryan being recruited by the CIA, but you don't really know anything about him, so it really just feels like you're throwing this character into this situation and we're just kind of supposed to root for him. And it would be nice to know all the other little team members in the CIA team, like even just my name, but we don't really get that because this does feel like a team effort, but it just kind of becomes a Chris Pine show after a while. Also, another big problem I had, which I guess maybe it's just my own taste, is that there's a lot of economics jargon in this movie, and I kind of understand that Tom Clancy writes like that, but I mean, to me, someone who doesn't really know much of this jargon, it comes across as a lot of exposition, and for a movie that kind of lacks in characterization, we don't need exposition, we need dialogue that engages the characters with each other. However, overall, as a January release, I actually had a lot of fun with Jack Ryan. I mean, it's a pretty safe movie. Like it's stuff you've seen before, but it's really fast paced. It's well acted, and it feels like a really good start to what could be another franchise. I'd actually recommend you guys to check this out. So yeah, that is my review of Jack Ryan Shadow Recruit. Finally, a good movie. So if you guys have seen it, what did you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree with me? What do you think about Tom Clancy? What do you think about Jack Ryan? Anything you think, please leave a comment and let us have a conversation.